From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here along with Craig Durling.
Evening, everybody.
And, of course, Ross Benson.
I'm deep into the media district.
He's deep in something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He is the media.
That dinner was good.
Do you know we're not actually in the media district?
You don't
Oh,
qualify?
now you've ruined everything. You've ruined the illusion.
I just found that out. I looked at we'll talk about the city report later, but I looked at this and how they designate the city, and this actually part of Burbank is not part of the media district.
What is it?
It's nothing.
Nothing? It's got to be something.
Nope, no district.
Toluca Lake adjacent?
So, yeah, we're just...
Toluca Lake mailing?
We're just, you go up all the way to... It goes up the way to Pass Avenue, and then it stops. And it stops as far as...
Don't give away our super secret location here.
And it stops as far as the alleys on Riverside Drive. And that's it. All this area.
Please don't tell me we're in L.A.
Oh, we're not in L.A.
Oh,
We're not in LA.
No,
You can tell.
If I call the cops, they actually come because they're Burbank cops.
There you go.
And they'll show up if he doesn't call.
They often do.
Well, welcome everybody to the week that was and that will be. We're going to have a new feature tonight, which we hope you'll enjoy.
Drum roll, Craig.
Drum roll, yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. We're going to once again, when you want sound effects, please let me know in advance.
Never could do that.
What's that called?
Drum roll?
A drum roll?
Ring a... When a drummer hits a snare.
That'd be a drum roll.
Ringtone.
Yeah. Okay.
Anywho.
Starting this week, we're going to have ourselves back to a word of the week. And our word of the week. Our word of the week will be somewhere in the show, and we'll let you know when it happens. We're not going to tell you in advance, so when we hit the word, we'll let you know. And the winner, send us an email to winner@myburbank.com with the word, and we will receive a $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe.
Ooh.
Ross, we love Hill Street Cafe, don't we?
Hill Street, you know what? Juan, the owner,
love it.
Just text me yesterday. You know what they're serving now?
What are they serving?
They're serving a full turkey dinner. I mean,
for Thanksgiving, eh?
It's that time of year, and he says...
Is it only on Thanksgiving, or is it going to be like the month of November, or what?
Well, it says we will be open on Thanksgiving Day, but pre-orders, blah, blah, blah. It's all the good stuff that goes with your turkey. I think.
So it's just on
Is it like an open-faced turkey sandwich, or is it an actual turkey dinner with the stuffing and all?
We'll have to find. You know what? Tune in next week, and we'll have those answers.
Right? Da-da-da.
It's that turkey time.
Check it out. But go there anyway, because they got everything they have there is good. I think we've been over the years been through the whole menu.
Everything is homemade. Everything's good. Yeah. And then you go in and you go into Hill Street. Tell them that you heard about it on the podcast too. Let them know that you heard about My Burbank Talks, or you saw the ad on their website.
Tell them My Burbank sent you.
We'd appreciate it, and they would appreciate it too. So
night,
we'll have the word of the night for a $25 gift card.
Listen up, pay attention.
Well, let's get on with the week here. Last Monday and last Tuesday, there was sure not much going on. So
that's it. Thanks for joining, everybody.
And we'll see you next time. No. But last Wednesday on November 1st, and another fine restaurant in town, one of our personal favorites, who, by the way, makes great chocolate cake and cheesecake.
Homemade.
Tequilas. Oh, homemade, yeah.
Oh,
Tequila.
Another one. Boy,
and we had a fundraiser on November 1st, and it was a sold-out event. Ross, you were there. Why don't you tell us about it?
It was a packed sold-out event. Patricia and her husband, Carlos, who own Tequila's, teamed up with Ashley Erickson, who one of our writers and, fantastic people that who has real experience with cancer. The Genetics Center over at the Disney Cancer Center was there. She had a couple of speakers. She had a speaker that was now battling stage 4 colon cancer. And I know she had done a podcast not too long ago. There were over 100 and I think 30 people there. Wow. I think they raised over $13,000. Patricia and Carlos said, anybody that's ordering here, we'll donate 20. And on top of it, we're going to donate out of our own pocket $3,000. With that, 2 people walked up and gave her checks for $3,000.
Wow. I might be mistaken, but I thought I saw an Instagram update from them. They're up to like 16 or 17,000 now total.
Yep.
Fantastic.
It's a very personal. She lost her
and that's
sister.
not $1 million or anything else. But you know what? Little amounts like that, when a lot of people put those little amounts together, they do add up to the millions of dollars.
And this is community.
So
this is community at its
literally
finest.
Everybody that was there that night were customers of hers, of theirs, and
you know, Patricia Community did a podcast all about her personal story, and you know, please go back and you know either watch or listen to that, and you know, listen about you know what Tequila's besides great food, but what it's all about.
Great people there, and they have employees that have had their own.
Yep,
and they're still kind of going through their own journey with cancer and all that. So
the Burbank Police had the pink cruiser out there. One of the guest speakers was the chief himself, and he got up there and he made it, you know, he was up there to talk about personal items. His daughter, he lost his mother at a young age from cancer. And like he said, everybody is affected by the cancer. You know, everybody has in their family or somebody. Greg, you experienced it. I have a scar on the side of my head. My leg, they took out a chunk now.
Remember, you watch the World Series, you know, during one of the games, they always pause and, you know,
stand up,
hold up with the signs.
Never
a dry eye in the house when they do that.
Yeah, I mean, every single person there held up a sign, if not multiple
two or three. Yeah. But I recommend everybody out there. Tequila's is a great restaurant, great food. Patty and Carlos have a great operation there. The employees have been around forever.
It's a family
It's a family operated place, and they post a lot on Instagram. So I recommend everybody follow their Instagram. It's Tequila's Burbank.
And if you would like to still donate to the Disney Cancer Center, there is a QR code on everything that she's doing. You can go to our articles on her Facebook page, her Instagram page, and you can still donate.
And you can. There's a link on their bio on their Instagram page to make donations as well.
And you know, there was an Allie who is fighting cancer. One of the nurses from the Disney Cancer Center, they don't call them there's a different word that they call these people that are with them. And she didn't know she was going to be there. You can call these people your nurses 24. You have a question, 3 a.m. I get a feeling here or there. You can call these people that you're working with.
There is a support system out there.
And like Ashley found recently a lump and she panicked. She called her regular doctor. We'll see you in a month. When you feel a lump like that, it's panic city, and I get it. She called the Disney Cancer Center. They got her in within a couple of days. They found out it was not, cancerous. But we were very fortunate. And the Disney Cancer Center, I know one of the big things we always talk about, Cusamanos, they donated a lot to the Disney Cancer Center.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to Thursday.
Already?
We had the Burbank Unified School District had their board meeting, and we actually had some very good news in that meeting. We found out that Dr. Oscar Macias is coming back to Burbank as the Director of Secondary Education, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I hope they got big business cards for him.
And he can say that in English, Spanish, and probably 3 other languages.
He just said it in one syllable.
As we know, he likes to wear those colorful bow ties. One of the things he's known for.
Every time I've gone to his campus when he was a principal of Luther, he'd have a different tie.
That's a shtick.
It is,
and he does it well. He left after being the principal at Luther to go to Glendale Unified School District. He was the Director of Equity, Access, and Family Engagement.
That was a new position over there. They never had.
They wanted him very badly, but now he's going to be in charge of secondary. So he's in charge of the high schools basically, and what goes on in the high schools, which would be good. And he had been in the Burbank district for 22 years before leaving.
On social media, I am seeing
everybody's happy. Because he cares, and he will talk to you, and he doesn't try to hide things, and he's honest, and so we're happy to have him back. We really are. We think that's a great move by the district. great movie by John Paramo. Or Dr. John Paramo. I like to always use their titles. So we're happy about that. Friday, we had a small little fire at the recycling center. And I guess it was some trash that caught on fire, I guess on a conveyor belt. It took about 30 minutes to put out, but it had a lot of smoke. Ross, you have any on that fire, or is that just...
Well, I had heard that, and I'll tell you, Burbank Fire they've been there many times. When you have a recycling plant, you got bales of paper and stuff. And like they said, it was coming from the building. If you've ever been there, that building is huge. And
it's
Burbank,
kind of a three-sided building. It's really not an enclosed building. It's kind of a...
You pull in and it's all open on the front. But how they sort their trash is on the conveyors by sensors. And apparently...
Unless it's a black plastic.
That's right. We learned that.
And and the thing is, when a pile of trash is on the, they don't just go in there and take their hose and squirt some water on top. Oh, fire's down. Because that fire burns down and down and down. They've got to get bulldozers and everything and spread it out. And then
it's kind of like a brush fire. They have to go down into the earth a certain amount of a certain depth to make sure that
So it takes a while to
it's
really
not burning
and
under.
They have fire drills over there all the time. The crews that work at the recycle center, they evacuated. The fire department got there, and it's kind of like you listen to it. They've been out there before. They know where to lay their lines, and the first in engine company. Actually, they weren't out there too long. They got it extinguished pretty quick.
Yeah. Last weekend, on Sunday, the Burbank Human Relations Council held their elections and a board meeting at the Historical Society's museum. And I guess Senator Portantino was on hand and swore the new board in. What do you got on that, Ross?
Well, I love how Craig enunciated those two words so phonetically properly.
It's getting good.
Well, he did, because during our notes prior to the show, we teased the hell out of him of what he was going to say.
He rifles through the words so much.
And I was watching him as he was reading the script.
That's right. Human relations. What did that sound like? Humiliations? The Humiliations
Yes,
Council?
that's what you thought. I said humiliations.
Well, they had
I thought we promised not to bring that up.
That's okay.
Sorry, I just had to.
I see. Always seem to be in a hurry before these shows. We spend a lot of time at our pre
show dinners.
Yeah, dinner, and then we rush to
That's the best part.
So,
It is, but
once again, Patty's with Heather, our waitress.
Heather,
Right. Amazing.
We found a night.
She puts up with us. Is what happens. She puts up.
But she is a sharp waitress.
Yeah.
Because tonight, what was it, Craig? You had said, and
we were talking about it's about the farm, daylight savings time,
right?
And why that and I was talking with Craig beforehand, and he said, well, the farmers really wanted that, and I'd never heard that before. And we were telling her what we were talking about. She goes, "Oh yeah, the farms." And I go, "Whoa, you knew that?"
She knew the advent of the daylight savings time.
So she was, I was very impressed with, and she is a very smart girl, though. She's, I'm not saying girls aren't smart. I'm just saying
she is.
She's intellectually, and she has a great sense of humor.
Oh, she does. Well, she puts up with us, and she goes toe to toe with us, and that's a thing. But every year they put in legislation to get rid of daylight savings time, and
Congress,
I don't know why it keeps getting shut down. Who's fighting for this to stick around?
I don't know if it's the Democrats who put it up and the Republicans
I know that,
voted it down, or the Republicans put it up, the Democrats voted it down.
Right. It's just because the other person wanted it, so we don't want it. But
I think the ones that want it are the ones that still have VCRs and don't know how
12 o'clock. But is it 12 o'clock midnight or 12 o'clock noon? Oh, I got you. I got you.
Great.
Stumped the band.
But Burbank Human Relations Council did elect the new board. They have some events coming up. You can go to their website. It was nice that again they were over at the Burbank Historical Society, which, if you talk about Burbank human relations, you talk about our past and our current and where we're going. Great place to have.
The perfect place to have it,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's for the week that was, and of course, when you have the week that was, we also have ourselves a commercial. So we'll be back with you in 1 second.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for local businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com, and we'll be glad to discuss all the exciting possibilities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Hey, everybody, we're back with you once again. Craig Sherwood with Craig Durling and
Hello.
Ross
Welcome back.
Benson.
Gotta say it.
Oh, that's
gotta
right.
say it.
You know, I just did that, and I had water come off my fingers.
I know.
And wasn't Ross the one who reminded us tonight to make sure we said hello on camera?
To get all these nasty emails because we don't say hello audibly.
Well, I can't say what I wanted to say, but you know, from the media district,
none of us can say what we really want to say.
Yeah, the media district is. I'm heartbroken. I thought I lived in the media district. I guess I don't. I live nowhere.
What's today?
Today's
Monday.
Oh, you're right.
Let's talk about
today is Monday, November 6th.
Were you going to? You're going somewhere with this?
No, but it says Monday in bold print.
It also says today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also says 11/6 in bold print too.
No mistakes will be made here.
In fact, when you look at Tuesday, it'll say Tuesday in bold print.
What? Look at
Really?
that.
Wow.
Uncanny.
Somehow it says that every single week.
Jeez. Yet we just found out that we're not in the media district.
Well, anyhow, so a lot of news today. A lot of things going on today on Monday. The morning started with the unfortunate a passerby found a homeless woman in a wheelchair around 6:30 in the morning in downtown Burbank on the promenade right near the AMC's, and she had passed away and was just in her wheelchair. So Burbank police came and and they found no foul play, so they called the coroner who picked up the body.
How did you hear that call? You weren't up at that hour.
Well, I do pay attention to the social media also.
Oh, because I was up at that hour, and I didn't hear the call.
Well, of course you won't hear the call because it's encrypted.
Oh, that's
I see how you work that in.
Yes.
I see what you did there.
By their choice, even though I've been told not to say that.
Oh, now you've gone and...
Oh, I'm sorry. They've told me not to say it, but guess what?
But you couldn't,
I just said it again.
You couldn't hear them tell you that because they were encrypted.
That's true.
Oh, that's unfortunate. And
yeah, not to bury the lead here,
exactly.
but that's
Yeah, she. They said she was a well-known, transient down there, and people knew her. And it's too bad that her last breaths were by herself, sitting in a wheelchair in the middle of the night, and she hadn't. I don't know if the Met team or the street team or whatever had tried to help her get her somewhere.
Yeah.
But
we don't know her name, I guess, huh?
They have not released her name. Yeah, they have not released it yet. Except for the coroner to release it. So
but when you look at the stats, the overall picture of homeless people that are passing away, that is one of those stats that it even happens here in Burbank, folks. It
just doesn't happen so often in Burbank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even when one gets through the cracks, that's one too many. So
very sad.
Then around 8:30 this morning, we had a small brush fire.
Brush?
The 2700 block of Joaquin.
How did I
near
sneak
Irving?
through that?
Jeez.
And by the way, that was on Fire Radio, which are not encrypted.
No, you got no excuse.
So
what's going on?
I actually listened to it, and it started out just as a vegetation fire. They got up there, and they had over 100 feet of vegetation burning, kind of hard to get to area. It started to expand. They called in a first alarm brush assignment. They're actually starting to send an engine up to the hill spot for a helicopter water drop, but canceled
What's the number of that hill spot?
16A.
Oh, thank you.
16 Alpha. Ross, I have a question for you. I'll pose it to my camera. But no, I have a question for you.
Where the hell have I been?
For the sake of our listening audience who may not know, what's the difference between a vegetation fire and a brush fire?
Well, I think brush is... Ooh, that's a good one. Vegetation is much smaller.
More like a yard or a parkway,
Exactly.
something like that, where
Grass.
it's limited spread.
Exactly,
Well,
brushes.
I don't know, because I remember a couple of years ago they had a huge vegetation fire on the 134 freeway between Pass and Cahuenga, and they needed multiple engines. So that's
But it was vegetation.
Okay, so that was.
I believe it's how they look at it.
It was not a small fire either. That was a very large fire.
Well,
with
if
possibility
you think
of
about
hitting residences also.
Well, down there, but mostly.
But maybe the type of fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah. And where it can expand to, I guess.
But if anybody's watching or listening from our fire department or somebody who knows, we kind of know, but if you have an actual definition, go ahead and send it to us at myburbank.com. No contest, no winners here, but just curious.
Info, Burbank.
Good info, because we brought up we used the two different terms in the story.
Just don't explain what a quint is. That's
oh no,
I'm not going there.
We know now.
We do know.
That was a conversation at dinner tonight. What a quint is.
Yes, we know what a quint.
Yep.
Now Burbank does not have a quint.
But there was another.
Yes.
There was a new radio term that somebody at that fire identified as.
The fire you didn't listen to?
Yeah, I saw it on Pulse Point. We have now a paramedic coordinator. And I believe it was one of our good friends, Jeff, who is now in charge of Burbank Paramedics. He's a 40-hour man, and I will tell you in 1 second.
And he responds?
He did.
He responds to brush fires?
He did, and because I saw, what was his?
Okay. I guess like LA City Fire has EMS supervisors that they'll respond to things, but
major medical,
as a supervisor,
major medical incidents. I guess ours respond to brush fires.
But if you have a lot of good part of patrol responding to an incident, you have a sergeant go.
This is EMS 11.
EMS 11.
Well, that makes sense.
And if you're going to have firemen up there working, he could probably
a lot of medical personnel working. He's their supervisor, their resource.
And we do have a lot of medical, because it's just about a lot of our engine people on 13s and 15s are also paramedics. So we have a lot of medical people.
That's a bulk of the work of municipal fire departments now.
Well, he was on our podcast at Fire Service Day. Very, very knowledgeable, and oversees our paramedic program, which Burbank has one of the best.
Also today, we'll have a story on My Burbank tomorrow about it. We're still getting all the details and information.
Isn't this where the teletype?
The school district, once again, Ross, we have meetings. We can go over sound effects anytime you'd like to add one.
I just hear these things, and
you hear a lot of things, my friend. Except for
you look awake.
Except for police calls, you don't hear police calls. That's the only you can't hear.
Show up to dress rehearsal once in a while.
Oh, thank you very much.
But we had another troubling incident today. The school district reported, Dr. Perano reported, that they arrested a Burbank resident.
Well, they didn't, but Burbank Police.
Burbank Police arrested a school district employee for embezzlement of funds who stole thousands of dollars from the after-school program fees. Her name was Penelope Cuevas. And we found her name on the arrest reports. And they are going to, we have questions in to find out, how much was stolen. And evidently, and Ross brought this up at our pre-production meeting, is they forced people actually to go to the district and pay cash for after-school programs.
Yeah, that's a cockabini way for a school district who doesn't know how to count to 10 to accept money. I remember when my granddaughter was registering for pre-K, my son said, "You have $100 on you," and I said, "What?" And I happen to have $100 on me. He said, "Can you go pay for Maddie's registration? It has to be done before 4:00 today." And I got on my horse, went to the district office, and paid cash.
Yeah, because they don't. Because a credit card would take 2.9%. That they don't want to lose. So instead, they'll lose thousands of dollars in cash when somebody just says, "I'm not going to turn that cash in."
And, that's a funny question because people have asked me all the time, how can, you embezzle money from the school district? Well,
apparently pretty easily.
Cash is also called temptation.
Yeah, and now we wonder why PTAs and booster clubs, they're very restrictive on how they do their cash.
The district is ruthless on booster clubs about money, but yet they can't keep track of their own cash that they bring in, which is kind of a. But I'm going to say this: got the email from Dr. Promo today, and I'm very encouraged by the fact that he shared that. He didn't
not only shared it, but he said they are hiring. They're bringing in.
They did brought it. This accounting firm that they're doing
forensic specialist.
Right. They brought this in after they lost the $7 or $8 million last year. So now the accounting firm found this. Who knows what else they're going to find? But I really tip my cap to Dr. Paramo for making it public and not trying to once again hide something.
About it.
Yep.
So maybe we have a new type of
procedure and
new type of district now, which I've been very critical about in the past, but maybe, with the right leadership, things will change.
No.
Well, they still have the same school board, though, so at least till the next election.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a police commission meeting coming up
Yes.
at some point
But,
for you to complain about.
You got to think, Craig. You and I have talked about it. We brought it up on this show. They're going to look at a bond issue coming up, and if they can't handle $10 and $20, who the hell's going to allow them to handle?
If they don't have a independent council that they do not appoint themselves, I'm going to say don't vote for that because
Exactly.
I don't trust our board. I just don't trust them.
Even an outside firm that does this, when they do the Oscars and the Emmys, who counts the votes?
A third party, a disinterested third party.
Exactly.
Having a committee is one thing. Having a independent committee that's non-biased, that's what's important. So, you can have a committee, and then look at how the charter committee, which I think is a good committee in Burbank, but look at how it was appointed. Okay, every council member, you pick somebody. That's how the committee got picked. And the 5 people or the 5 council members' personal choices.
But
so why couldn't they do that for the auditing committee, which would scare the heck out of me?
But the oversight, you mean the oversight committee?
Yeah, if they do the bond measure, right.
Right, okay, but for the city, they did it the right way. They have some former council members, mayors, commission members. They really chose some great people for that.
Well, I'd say the city is not at the issue. It's the school district for me. But I think Dr. Paramo has made a good first step and also a great second step when hiring Dr. Macias back. So
promising.
Yes, promising.
So I'm just curious, will that Dr.
Pepper?
No,
Doolittle?
Dr.
He's already doing a lot.
Dr. Macias, if he is in charge of secondary schools, he would be the second in standing as superintendent.
I don't know who knows what their hierarchy is? Who knows what their
well, that's what it was prior.
Well,
so I kind of wonder if that would be fantastic. He is superintendent material anyway.
I don't think Dr. Paramo's going anywhere.
Oh no.
And so far so good with him.
Yeah,
anyway.
So far so good. I know that Dr. Macias will do a good job keeping things in line also. So I say a lot of positives there.
Need more than one good person up there.
There's a lot. There are a lot of good people at the school district that, sometimes when tweets go out or we talk about them, there are a ton of people that make our kids as good as they are, and we always don't give them credit.
We are all very familiar with organizations and industries that one bad actor, can cast a dark light on everybody else.
I think you have a lot of bad administrators, and they just all happen to show up at the same time, the same place. And that's the way it happens sometimes.
Maybe the coin has changed now, or the tide has changed, and we're going to see some.
The tide has turned.
Let's see. Going on Monday. Monday's a busy day. Also, although the agenda said 6 a.m., we know it's 6 p.m. But Arts and Public Places is going to meet at the Community Services Building. They're going to review and provide feedback on the call for artist drafts and select a site-specific selection committee. Oh, another committee again. Member for the Johnny Carson.
That is not the word of the week, though.
No.
Don't be fooled.
I didn't know. That's not the word of the week.
Don't be fooled.
For the Johnny Carson Park shade structure, staff will also update the committee on the Verdugo Aquatic Facility Public Art Project, and staff will provide the committee with an update on the restoration of the city-owned art pieces.
Now that to Craig Durling is very important. I think we should put Craig Durling's name in to assist with the shade structure at Johnny Carson Park.
Why? Because I could really benefit from it.
Yes, every year
more than anybody.
Every year at Carewalk, Craig brings his own pop-up.
It's also very colorful. He comes in there with white skin and leaves with red skin.
Well, worse than that.
I don't tan. I turn pink and then peel.
And the last couple of years, you've done gigs there. And I remember, I think last year, you had to change shirts.
I set up in a completely different set of clothes than I work in because I always sweat through it setting up.
But that shade
when that sun comes up,
that shade structure will be in good use.
Be great.
Well,
Can't wait. I can't wait.
finally, at the same time as the art commission meeting, just walk to another room.
Wait, at 6 in the morning?
Well, and you go to another room at 6:15 to the Landlord-Tenant Commission, also at the Community Services Building. Their agenda was just posted, and once again, a lot of people on Olive are being tossed out. So hopefully they're going to help those people there. And now the city has new regulations in place. These landlords are going to think twice. Let's move on to Tuesday. Tomorrow.
Tuesday. Oh.
Unless you're listening to this today, of course, it's tomorrow. But
November
if you're listening to this tomorrow,
7th. November the 7th.
if you're listening to this tomorrow, then you're actually listening to it today.
And it's today.
I'm not going
My head
there.
hurts.
So, Tuesday, the Burbank Athletic Federation. And once again, why are they meeting the exact same times as City Council? I do not know. Why not pick a week that the City Council does not meet? But that would make sense. Anyhow, the Burbank Athletic Federation meets at 6 p.m. in the Community Services Building. They're going to get an update on their youth sports transgender athletic policy. And also, staff is going to present the board with a pickleball update. Now,
Bring your own pickle.
something I read that was interesting is that they did a survey, and 80% of the people surveyed were for pickleball, and only 20% were for tennis. So pickleball is absolutely becoming the craze, and I think they're going to have to make more and more adjustments for pickleball, but that's becoming. I know there's professional pickleball leagues now, and everything else. So
What did, no offense, sorry to say, Matthew Perry was out playing pickleball before he passed away.
well,
That is not a warning to anybody to go play pickleball and then get into your jacuzzi, but use caution.
I'm not sure a lot of people even have a jacuzzi.
Who? A jacuzzi?
Yeah, a lot of, I don't think most of us are Hollywood people who can afford a jacuzzi.
Or a hot tub. But pickleball is really, that's the craze now. That's the, I remember when we started, there's water all over my microphone, folks. I don't know what from.
You're the one using it.
Whoa.
Don't get electrocuted over there.
Stop licking it's not a giant lollipop. It's a microphone.
That's why there's the spit guard on the
Wow.
microphone.
I don't know what that was.
Spitting.
I'm sorry about that. Got away. Can you edit that out?
No.
Nope.
No. And right now we're live anyway. So
Oh, great.
last week,
That was weird.
And more people watch this live than
last week we had 1,250 people watching live.
Okay, I
a
did
lot of
have a
people.
bottle of water, and that's where it must have come from.
this is not product placement either,
No, it
unless
isn't.
Crystal Geyser wants to sponsor the podcast.
Remember, he used to always remove the labels. Now I guess it's no longer.
No time for that.
Sorry about that. Cut away.
But
back to this
we
week's show.
digress.
So the city council is meeting at 6 p.m., believe it or not, on Tuesday. They're going to get a presentation of the state legislative update by Emmanuel Jones and Associates. This is the company they pay to tell them what laws get signed and what it means. This is probably the company that either did not give them a SB 35 presentation in 2017 or a new company since then. But let's hope that they get some kind of in-depth analysis of every law passed, not just the ones they think are important, because SB 35 came along in 2017 and then raised its ugly head in 2020, I think it was, or 2021 in the Pickwick Project, and nobody knew anything about it.
How much do we pay these people to be consultants?
More than you and I get paid. And we give all this free advice on here, too. Okay, well, also on the agenda is going to be...
This is a big, heavy agenda
Yes.
for tomorrow.
And most of these are all on the consent agenda, which means they just one vote for everything.
Well, that's good.
And I got a feeling that one of our members will not be voting yes on this item, but it's for the approval of the police department's acquisition of new and additional military equipment. So we're talking about 2 drones, 2 remotely powered ground vehicles, a micro robot.
A what?
A micro robot.
A robot? A robot?
We got to get that button
A
fixed.
robot?
Robot.
Would that be the word of the week?
It's not Mr. Robot, by the way. Yes, that's our word of the week, robot.
Isn't there a song like that? Mr. Roboto?
Yes, there is. I can't pay the rights fee, so don't sing anymore.
That's right. But the word of the week is robot. And what do they do with that word if they
email it to
still listening?
Email it to winner@myburbank.com and tell them the word robot. And
what is the email again?
Winner@myburbank.com.
I thought he said
At myburbank.com.
Robot at myburbank.com.
Yes.
I don't know. This is falling. The wheels have left the bus.
Just send it to
Wheels on
contest or winner@myburbank.com. Either one
they
you
have
want.
a choice now.
They both come to me anyway. And we will take all
win?
all
And
the
they get?
responses, a $25 gift card.
Do
Street
we have
Cafe.
one to show them or no?
Yes, we do. We have one, and we can show them next week.
All right. No, we don't have it within arm's reach right now.
Yes, we do.
Once again, we have pre-production.
Right
Here we go.
There it is.
Oh, wait, there it is. There it is.
There it is.
that gift
Oh, don't
card
show the
will be
number.
yours. Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, these cameras aren't that.
But that's
That
it.
clear.
So
But
email.
you can bring, it's a $25 gift certificate. I would suggest you bring yourself, your family, your friends. That is a great place. You can go and talk and sit for an hour and have a great
I think you
conversation.
can sit in any restaurant for an hour, maybe 2 hours at Hill Street.
I don't know. How long were we at Patty's tonight?
Over an hour.
No, but up at Hill Street, that's what's nice. It's not overcrowded where they push you out because they need the seating. They have plenty of room. And bring somebody with you. You know, you'll enjoy their soup, which, Craig, is their soup.
Yes, they have soup.
And
Homemade. It's homemade.
I forget which Craig I was supposed to throw that to.
I'm not
You
sure.
were looking and pointing at him, but
I know the tomato bisque on Mondays is
Tomato what?
tomato bisque on Mondays is
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic.
the
So
tomato,
is
that
there-
tomato
What
brisket.
about their corn chowder?
Good.
What about their clam chowder?
And you know what? But you know what my favorite is there?
oh,
The chili spaghetti.
I've never had it there.
But I make it with linguine at home
I beg your
because
pardon.
the chili sticks to the pasta better. So I usually go to Hill Street and assuming it's still on the menu, but I request that they do it with linguine because it sticks to the noodles better. But the chili with onions and cheese, oh, so good. So good.
What about their dressings?
Homemade.
Homemade.
Boy, you guys are
Look at that.
you got it all figured
So
out.
go to Hill Street. Go and claim your gift card and go to Hill Street.
Yep. And you might see us there. And Mr. Derling,
Yes, sir.
you lived all of 375
Lived
feet.
right around the corner. That used to be my stomping ground. But
Okay.
now it's Patty's and all this on the riverside over here.
Wait, let's get back to the show here, though.
Oh,
okay.
wait. I thought we were in a commercial break.
We had a discussion already for
All
Hill Street. They only
All right. Back
I
on
get so
topic
much.
here.
So anyhow, the council is going to approve additional military equipment: 2 drones, 2 remotely powered ground vehicles, of course, the micro robot.
Well, that is the micro robot.
Yes, 6 kinetic energy weapons, including a 40 millimeter launcher. And this projectile consists of plastic body and sponge nose. Now,
Yeah.
these are all items that, in all honesty, these are all items that the police department needs as part of. It's a new world, and this is stuff that some of this is non-lethal stuff, and for officer safety.
But you know what? We have an expert.
We
happens
do.
to be in the room that I'm glad he's with us tonight and not on special assignment
Not
because this is, as they say, right up your.
kind of my wheelhouse.
Yes.
Kind of my wheelhouse. This is all stuff, the 3 things you mentioned, which are really 3 items, the robots, the drones, and the 40 millimeter systems. These are all things that are my first thing that I noticed on the agenda and the proposal is all the mention of military equipment, and some people don't like that term. Hearing that term interchanged and mixed with local law enforcement.
These are not tanks and
So, you're right,
mortars.
this is not tanks. This is not your standard military equipment. All of these things, even though they're required to report them through different funding that they get from the federal government, from the Department of Defense, it falls under that. The city is also partially paying for these things. But this isn't your typical military equipment. All these 3 things, these 3 items, are items that are really bringing the department into the modern day police department. They've always been on the leading edge here, but departments are getting these drones now. They're getting the 40 millimeter. We say less lethal. We don't really say non-lethal anymore because there is a chance that if used wrong or it strikes the right person the right way, there could be a fatality. There have been in history. That's why the terminology has evolved to less lethal.
You can always put an eye out.
And always put an eye out. That has happened.
And you talk about drones. I have been to a couple of their training exercises. Now, instead of putting an officer to go into a house
or check a yard,
they can send a drone into a house
and an open area. To check an open area.
Yeah, and you can. I come from an agency that was kind of one of the leaders nationwide of the local law enforcement drone programs, and you have to do it properly. You're Part 107 licensed by the FAA to launch them. You have a pilot and an observer to look for hazards. You're in touch with the local tower, FAA, and all that. It's very organized. There's a lot of licensing and training that goes in. But they don't take the place of helicopters, but they sure are more available. You have the pilots, they have them in the vehicles. There are some that are so small with cameras and telemetry, you can send them through windows. We've searched the inside of houses and buildings. We've trained in malls, going into different stores and all that. And if you can do that instead of sending officers or canines into harm's way, that's great. And you can see the layout. You can go down hallways, indoors. That's great. And the way the proposal reads is they're all going to be properly trained and licensed. The 40 millimeter launchers, the question came up earlier. We weren't really sure what Burbank PD uses for less lethal. Now, do they have the 12 gauge?
I think it's a beanbag.
Well, the 12 gauge format. The old ones are the square beanbags. Then they advanced to super sock rounds because they were more accurate and more aerodynamic. I don't know if that's what Burbank PD uses now, or if they're already using 40 millimeters and are looking to just get more or what have you. But the 40 millimeter platform right now is what a lot of agencies are going to. I'm an instructor for that platform, have been for many years, but the sponge round they're talking about has a name. It's Defense Technologies as a manufacturer, but it's called the Exact Impact 40 millimeter standard range sponge round. And they're far more aerodynamic, more accurate, because you're still responsible for every round that goes less downrange, less lethal or otherwise. So they're more accurate, more kinetic energy, which is basically the energy of movement, created by a moving object. They're bigger surface area. They're the usable range anywhere from 5 feet to about 120 feet effective range. So much better, much more reliable than the 12 gauge platforms. Again, I say I don't know what they're using now. One of the big problems historically with the 12 gauge platforms is departments that used shotguns and had shotguns in cars with lethal rounds. There was the potential of confusing the ammunition. All right, so they came out with, and it's happened in the past, unfortunately, where you get a live round mixed in with less lethal, and before you know it, you have a lethal situation.
Well, you had that woman in Chicago, Illinois, who thought she picked her taser pistol and she shot the guy with a real gun. And there's a whole training and policy aspect to that too, which I could speak to if it ever came up on the podcast. But I won't take the time now.
Emails. People will listen to this podcast and might email us in question. And we can get those answers. We know the range master quite well. We can ask our PIO of what Burbank's using. We might even
anybody in the use of force office, or
we might be able to get it tomorrow night. Listen to the report.
Yeah, but these are all upgrades. The robots are interesting. I haven't seen those
what
before yet. The robot,
small
robot, little 4-wheeled guy with a camera and telemetry that I guess they can. Throw through a window and it can land however it lands and right itself.
It says it can go up steps.
Yep.
It can go up,
and that's kind of another use that something they could couple with a drone, maybe. But all these things, I wouldn't tack on the word military. Don't let that turn you off, because it's not. These aren't.
Don't be surprised in Holiday in the Park in a couple of weeks. You look up and you see a drone above you. They have a drone to watch the crowd and check the rooftop.
Totally. We used to deploy them all the time because they come in very handy.
Well, July 4th, I was up. I got to at the launching pad for the fire department, and Burbank had their drone up there with their monitor, and there were people walking on the fire road up in the mountain, which they sent the drone up. You think about it. You can't send a person running up a hill like that. You send a drone up, and I guess they could talk through it.
There are some of these drones are large enough. You can attach FLIRs to them.
Really?
FLIRs, cameras.
Tell me what a FLIR is.
Well, forward-looking infrared.
Right.
So basically, like a helicopter would have a FLIR where they can see heat.
Right,
They
heat
see
source.
there's somebody hiding in that bush. You can't see them, but I can see the heat source. They could mount those on drones now. So very useful. A lot of utility to them. Great for crowd control. Looking in the hills again for hot spots, maybe after the fireworks.
Yeah.
With the FLIR or infrared, they can look for hot spots without having to pay to have a helicopter maybe looking around for that, burning fuel.
Burbank didn't have one last year.
Right.
It was down, so.
Yep. So a lot of uses. Not going to put helicopters out of business, but it's very handy and far more cost effective than maybe having to bring a helicopter in.
And I don't think people, there are these people that are anti-law enforcement, but nowadays you can turn on your TV at any time and watch a report about SWAT getting called out or a barricaded suspect and so forth. And Burbank needs to be prepared, right, like any other city.
Yeah.
I'm still predicting right now it's going to be a 4-1 vote on this.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. And one more plug about the 40 millimeter, because I'm a fan of that system, but there's more utility to it because the different rounds, we talk about the sponge round for impact, direct impact, but they have different rounds. They have rounds that have pepper spray, OC,
Really?
impregnated in them. They have marking rounds. So let's say a crowd control situation, you want to mark an instigator or the leader of the group or somebody who caused the vandalism or who threw a bottle at an officer.
Tag somebody.
You basically tag them. It's got marking paint in it, and you can boom, 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 paint them.
And then the F-18 takes them out.
Right? Is that in there? I don't think that's on the list.
No, we're not getting F-18. Okay.
I don't think that's on the list here. But this is all available.
Let me as an instructor, though, let me ask you a question as just being an ordinary citizen.
Oh, you're
Let's
not
say you
ordinary.
have the situation, and I'm not going to say at Home Depot or like we had there because they actually use some non-lethal rounds.
Less lethal.
Less lethal.
But we don't know what necessarily,
know what,
right? We weren't able to.
But I think it was a beanbag, but I'm not sure. We tried to look it up and couldn't find out.
Right.
But my question is this: if you're a suspect, and let's say you actually do have a firearm, and all of a sudden you get hit by a couple of these things and think you were shot.
Mm-hmm.
If immediately you think I'm shot, I'm gonna get killed, I'm gonna just start shooting now because of that thinking you have been hit with a real bullet
Right.
when you have.
And that happens. And part of the training and policy, anytime you are deploying a less lethal system, whatever it is, pepper ball, beanbags, 40 millimeter, you have lethal right next to it. You have somebody with a rifle or some manner of lethal force
Are you
right
supposed to
there.
announce first that we're going to
You can.
stun you, or
It might be a matter of policy or practicality.
Because I don't think they did that. Once again, I don't know for sure at Home Depot. I don't know if they announced it first. I know that they did shoot him with something first before he went to a prone position.
Right. Usually policy will, in my personal experience, policy will say, give warnings when applicable. When it's safe to do so, when you have time to do so, give the warnings. Because you do, and you have the potential of sympathetic fire. You definitely want to let all the officers know that you're going to be deploying less lethal because they hear, what sounds like a shot being fired. You never know, what will follow that. But you don't have an officer out there all by themselves with less lethal. You have a lethal component.
That's a part of the thing. I'm just thinking though that it's such a, you're watching. So they get a search warrant, right? And all of a sudden they stand at the door, and the guy is ready to break the door down. And as it starts swinging forward to break the door down, goes, "Open the door, search warrant!" And about within 2 seconds, the door is just all of a sudden, pounded open.
It's off the hinges.
Well, we announced it first. Yeah, you announced it in 2 seconds.
Well, that's always been a messy area.
Recently, I got to hear the full audio of the most recent shooting somewhere, and it was Orange County Sheriff, I think, at the motorcycle bar that the ex-cop went in and shot some people. And to listen to the full audio, it's not the full audio. It's the audio they released. Right. But you would hear them say, fire in 40, fire in 40. Right. Yeah. And then they, I think it was more for the officers.
Absolutely.
Kind of like the military would say when they're going to blow a door, fire in the hole. I mean, it's a warning that...
And it's for that sympathetic fire. You don't want everybody because they might not see you. They might be behind the building. So you definitely want to let all the officers on scene know about it. And like I said, most policy, I'm not familiar with Burbank PD's policy, but a lot of them generally give warnings when applicable or practical, I guess.
And we don't know any officer who ever wants to pull the trigger on a real gun. I don't think that I've never heard an officer say, "Boy, I'm sure glad I did that," or they're glad they did it to protect somebody's life. But there's a lot of remorse when you take a person's life. So anything we can do for less lethal rounds, less lethal anything is a good positive.
Don't be scared away by the word military term used in all the terminology literature here.
That's because it's a
formality.
It's an assembly law that was and they have to call it military. That's not it's an assembly law that they have to use.
It's for auditing purposes. And
I'm curious. Most of the stuff they've had, it looks like they're updating to more current, and they don't use it daily. I mean, out there, Burbank is a pretty safe city, but they use it for training, like the 40, launcher or whatever, or the drones. They use that for several things. These things need to be replaced and updated.
Absolutely. They need to be updated. The 40 millimeter is the most common, probably one of the most common impact weapons out there now. And it has a lot going for it as far as accuracy and distance, usable distance and all that. So again, not knowing what they currently have out there, some departments they have one in the supervisor's vehicle. And if somebody wants to deploy it, then they got to get the supervisor there to do it. They have to watch it happen. But in my former department, everybody in patrol, everybody in uniform was trained and certified to use them. Everyone had one. There was one in every unit.
Now,
so you didn't have to wait.
Was that part of the consent agenda?
Yes.
So it'll be probably, unless somebody
they'll say, "We'll pull that one off." I'll vote yes and everything except for number whatever. I just have a feeling that's going to happen.
It's kind of interesting, and people, the reason we're expanding on a little more, we do have an expert here with us, Craig Durling, and
we're trying to explain it to you.
Exactly.
When you
wonder
so you understand why when it says military.
Yeah, I could believe me, I could get into the weeds on each of these three items, especially the 40 millimeter. But there's no need to go that deep here. But my biggest thing, the takeaway from this is updating the department. It's providing modern day tools to the department that can save lives and keep officers safer. But please don't let the fact that military is spread all over the terminology.
So
here.
We're not going to get the F-18.
Don't let that dissuade you or scare you away. None of these three things are. Well, this is what many municipalities are using out there.
I'm so glad you worded it that way, because we have, at one time within the last couple of years, all these people are going, defund the police. They have too much.
Well, they don't want to militarize the police.
Right.
Yeah. This is not doing that.
No, not doing that, very clearly.
It's modernizing the police.
Oh, that was great.
Well,
thank you.
How we're going to pay for that? One of the ways we're going to pay that is we're going to have an acceptance of funds from the State Citizens Option for Public Safety Program, which everybody kind of call COPS. They're going to be giving the city of Burbank a check for $269,080.36, which is it's based on population, and it can be used for personnel, equipment, crime prevention, anti-gang programs, but it cannot be used to supplement the city's law enforcement program. So that's interesting. They're also going to accept a donation of a forensic science fuming chamber for biometric identification services.
People kind of wonder about that, and I at one time applied to the city to be a forensic evidence technician, and I had taken classes on that, and a fuming chamber is very well used, and you can put material in there to make latent fingerprints appear on things, from paper to metal.
To make them visible.
Make them visible.
And probably a lot of things that they couldn't do 10, 20 years ago, cold cases, they can probably re-examine now if they still have those pieces of evidence and maybe get a fingerprint.
Possible.
You never know on a cold case.
Used to use in my CSI days, because yet another thing on my resume, I did CSI investigation for a couple of years, but what we used in those fuming chambers more often than not?
Super glue.
But what would you call it in court? to sound all
Oh, that's
professional
a
smart.
challenge word. That's
And this should have been the word of the week, but nobody could spell it, including myself.
Fragilistic XP.
Cyanoacrylate.
Of course. Every time
Also known as crazy glue.
Yes.
You know what, Craig?
I said cyanoacrylate every
I
time
know it very well. I have not removed.
Right? I thought you were just making a point.
No, these fingers have been together for years.
Is that why you haven't taken the headphones off in weeks?
I can't move those fingers apart.
What else are we doing on the consent agenda? We're going to have an agreement with Richard
Carrizo?
Cerezo?
Cerezo?
Cerezo? For the McCambridge Recreation Center Mural Public Art Project. This will include the artist's fees, materials, supplies, plaque, equipment, insurance, and other related expenses to design and paint the final piece.
You know, I want to make a
14,000 of that is going to be insurance, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, to the city. But I've seen it. I used to see the old mural inside McCambridge Recreation Center on all kinds of. That's how I always knew in a television show they're filming in McCambridge because you'd see that mural. I remember seeing that in an old Emergency episode.
You know, I see that we donated $500 for a box to be painted.
Yes, we did.
And they've painted all the electric
Magnolia and Hollywood Way.
Well, I drove by the other day, very upset. Drove by 2 weeks ago, and there was graffiti on it, and it got removed the next day.
Yeah, but what about the paint job? Is it?
No,
protected?
it's fine. It's fine. They used some special stuff to get the paint off. But you know what? Somebody went to I saw several boxes, and they put posters for the Roxy Theater there. I called the Parks Department, and they're going to go out and see if they can take that poster off without damaging our box. I said, you know, for the people that paid for those boxes, that was just very uncool to see a promo for the Roxy over our utility boxes.
Yep.
That was not Ross's rant.
Nope.
No, but I'll
not
tell you.
your rant. You got to wait for that.
The city is also going to hopefully approve our city attorney Joe McDougall's request for $1 billion. That's $1 million.
Wait, don't we have that cash register?
Yes, we do. We do have the cash register just for that. We have $1 million for
ring it up
to fight the districting lawsuit brought on by our friend Nicholas Gutierrez, who's now actually filed the lawsuit as of October 20th. They served it then, and challenging the city's at-large voting system. And the city council's decided to fight this, which I'm all for. And once again, if $1 million, bring it on, baby. You know, because I'll tell you what, if we win that lawsuit, I want to see Nicholas Gutierrez pay us back the $1 million.
Whoever he is.
Yeah, whoever he is, if he is. So we're all for that. By the way, speaking of court cases, today the city of Burbank went to court in the Tinhorn Flats preliminary hearing, and Gallegos tried to argue that the city was unjust in arresting the kid, and the judge says no, it was a lawful arrest. And they also talked about the lawsuit in general, and the judge goes, no, the city acted lawfully. So right now the trial is set to begin in January. Like one more hearing in December, and the trial will start in January. Once and for all. Same judge.
Oh, good, because then maybe Mr. Gallegos might not be winning this one.
Well, I can't see how. I think the city did everything correctly, and I hope the city goes after every single dollar they spent.
You know, people were all laughing when they put that fence up. People were laughing when they had police officers put out there for weeks and weeks.
We'll have a story tomorrow. We had a special correspondent in court today to watch the proceeding, and we will have a story on that tomorrow. So we have a lot of stories coming out again tomorrow. Also,
you know what I saw on the news today on My Burbank? I did look at the front page of My Burbank today.
And what did you see?
You moved like 6 stories quicker than Buffalo Bill.
There's a lot going on today.
There was. The city announced they have chosen the replacement for Judy Wilkie.
Absolutely.
It's Courtney Page. Courtney.
Take
Page.
2.
Where did I come up with that one?
No,
I have no idea.
Courtney Paget.
Thank you.
Who I have worked with for many,
you know
many.
very well, in fact.
I do know her
so well. Clearly.
She has been the administrator at the police department for the last couple of years.
And done excellent work.
Well, she is also on the board of Leadership Burbank, and I will say I have done some photography for them. She is so quick and accurate. I put an invoice in, and she returned it in the same mail the same day.
You and I talked about a lot of possible candidates for that job.
We did.
And she was not one of them. But Justin Hess, once again, being the smart cookie he is,
He
knew he picked somebody that, very happy with the selection.
She will fill
Judy Wilkie did a great job for our city. We hate to see her go, but at least we know somebody's coming in there who's very capable and will put the city in the forefront.
Yep. I was just, when I woke up and read that press release, I was overjoyed. The police department will miss her, but they'll find somebody for that.
I'm sure they'll find somebody capable, but once again,
Courtney,
if you read our website this morning, you would have known that first. So I'm glad somebody looks at our website.
You just moved a ton of stories today.
Oh, there's a lot going on. Yeah, that's kind of the
news
job.
Machine.
The news business doesn't wait for anybody.
Well, see, people, if they don't hear the podcast, go look at myburbank.com and
They
you
have
see.
to wait a whole week to hear the podcast.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, I think one of our stories is the update on that Ashley put up for Holiday in the Park.
Let's see here. We're going to also have updates on both. These are reports now on the Golden State Neighborhood Protection Plan and on the Media District Specific. By the way, we're not in the Media District here anymore. The Media District Specific Plan, and the objective of these plans is to discourage cut-throughs and spillover traffic and reduce demands on residential on-street parking by developing a series of tailored street improvements and traffic programs to reduce impacts from adjacent development projects that may increase traffic congestion or reduce parking supply in residential neighborhoods. Now, the problem I have with this is that the company they chose to do the media, and I actually participated in a couple of media because at that time I thought I was in the media district. They didn't seem to know.
Sad.
I am
So
sad.
We have to change the show open now?
We're going to close to the media district.
From adjacent to the
From
Burbank
adjacent,
Media
yes.
District.
But it was an outside consulting company who really didn't know the area that well, didn't understand how the studios work, how the employees work, that they're not 9 to 5, 40-hour week jobs. And their conclusions about traffic and their conclusions about transportation were totally off. These must be the people who also promote the Burbank bus system, for all I know. But it just, I was not impressed with this company. And even the city staffers involved, I'm not sure they're even Burbank residents.
Well, exactly. That's what it concerns me is I remember you and I have talked about it. You and I have worked in the studios. And we know, if you're a lifelong Burbank resident, you kind of know how the studio operates. And these consultants come in and don't know shit.
And a lot of our city staff now are not like the old days. Used to be Burbank residents for 20 years. And now
your dad, your cousin,
and now they're bringing people in. It's a starter job for them to move up the ladder. And so they don't really care about what they, to me, it's like the old city councils of the past. How do we get in a pension problem? Well, they voted on all sorts of programs and incentives, and then they're out of office, and now we're all paying the bill. So, it's. I think people who make decisions in our city need to have a skin in the game, but you can't make them live here. They'll say they can't afford it, although I'm sure they can't afford it if they really.
Not if they want to have an event.
Yes, not if they want to have an event here.
Don't get me started about it.
I know.
Anyhow, so that's it for the city council meeting. We're going to move on now to Wednesday, and we'll get through a couple things quickly here. On Wednesday, the Board of Library Trustees meets at 5:30 at the Central Library. They're going to receive an update on project planning, and they're going to discuss whether to hold a meeting in December. So they're going to have a meeting to discuss if they're going to hold a meeting.
That's on the agenda?
That's on the agenda. I love...
Well, then they have to have a meeting.
Somebody please put that on the police department's agenda, police commission's agenda. Should we have meetings when we have nothing to recommend?
But I don't know. Now with this new, they got the funding for the library. They're doing a lot of stuff. It's kind of now, when do you start meeting?
Well, I think that, that's going to be a huge thing. I think we need to.
There's business to be done.
We have a lot of public input on that. I think that the Civic Center downtown, let's hope it's just not another civic. Let's hope we do something special and we do something that's futuristic.
Burbank.
We're going to look into the future a little bit, and how are things going to look in the future? Not just do what's going to work today, what's going to work in 25 years, 30 years from now. Let's be on the future of that. Moving on to Thursday, Burbank High baseball's team is going to before their their winter league game at 6:00. They're going to have veterans there, and they're going to honor some veterans. We have, I believe, our vice mayor is going to be there, and I'm sure Mickey DePaulo is going to be there, and they're going to honor our veterans in before Veterans Day, which is a nice thing before their game starts at 6 p.m.
And real quickly, you did a podcast this last week with Mr. Bob Hart.
Yes, we did. Our Coach's Corner, which we thought went really well. We had guest Mike Russeffo on.
It was a great podcast. I listened. I loved it.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people did. But if you want to know where
that's all Mike
comes from,
Mike is the greatest promoter in the world.
No, I've heard it other places. But Coach does these events with veterans for a reason. And if you want to know why, listen to that podcast.
Yeah, he explained the entire thing, which I think I commend him for it. I think it's something that's lost in our sports world, and sports is more than just going out and throwing a ball or hitting a ball or things. Sports is more than that, and the coaches that do more and community type things are the kids who have life lessons. So,
well, you know what? Here's a challenge to every citizen in this city. Friday is Veterans Day. It'll go on at Cambridge Park.
Saturday is Veterans Day.
But the ceremony here in Burbank is Friday.
Right.
My point is, show up and you will see the Burbank High baseball team sitting with their coach participating in that event. And I don't know how many people in this city will sleep through it. But honestly, those kids can get up and show up and honor our vets, so can majority of the
let's fill the stands for them.
There's a lot of seating there too. Also on Thursday, the Park and Rec Board is going to meet at 6 p.m. at City Hall. One thing
they got a huge agenda. I don't know if we want to go through there.
One of the things they're going to get is the DeBell Golf Course annual report and fiscal year for 22-23. They're going to get a pickleball update, so they'll hear about all the pickleball going on. And the big thing is a capital improvements update. We found it interesting that on all the projects that they would like to do, but the problem is the funding is not currently available. But the submittals they have for next year, or a 5-year plan, is for the Jocelyn Adult Center for waterproofing, the Cambridge Park pool renovation, which they just did receive a check for, a pickleball court complex at Georges A. Park, master plan, the Verdugo aquatic facility pool slide replacement. Already needs a new slide already. Valley Skate Park expansion, which I'm not sure where they will expand that to, but
the next one you're going to love.
The Mary Alvarez Recreation Center and Verdugo aquatic facility renovation. That's one I love.
No.
Oh, so you said the next one. I'm sorry. The Tuttle Senior Center renovation. That's the one I love, huh?
How about Starlight Bowl?
Starlight Bowl. That's right. That's in their 10-year plan. They want to do a Starlight Bowl renovation, and I say, we'll believe it when we see it.
This is quite a wish list.
Not funded.
They put together.
Not funded. We'll get into the Starlight Bowl a whole nother day, but that's a huge Burbank benefit. It's one of the jewels of our city, and it needs to get polished.
And what did I say during our pre-show meeting? The Bell Clubhouse expansion. What are we doing, folks?
Yeah. Well, so we want the Colony Theater to pay for everything they do, but we want to pay for expanding the clubhouse at the Bell. I don't understand how it seems to be a double-edged thing here. We make the Colony pay for everything, but we want to pay for the DeBell, which has an outside operator working it.
DeBell Clubhouse expansion, is that so they can make and have larger reunions?
Yeah, make the restaurant bigger.
Is it the clubhouse or the restaurant, though? See, the restaurant's different than the clubhouse.
Where's the clubhouse?
I think it's down below. It's maybe they park the golf carts and maybe people change or something. I don't know.
I guess you don't know.
I used to golf. I used to have two good knees also. Anyhow.
Moving on
to Friday. Now, well, don't let me think that I'm not for I have a huge, like Ross was saying, a huge proponent of Veterans Day. And the ceremony is going to be at 10:15. They're going to have the Condor flyover. The Burbank band is going to be there. They do a great job playing all the songs, of all the military songs. All the veterans come in their uniforms, from years past. The dignitaries are there.
And who will lead the show?
Why don't you tell us?
I bet you it'll be Mickey DePaulo.
You bet, or you will be.
I'll put money on it.
That's your bottom dollar.
There you go.
And I'll fall of $1. I have it.
We actually have a podcast coming up with Mickey DePaulo pretty soon on our Coach's Corner, so we will get more into his history with that.
I'll bet you that $10 it'll be Mickey DePaulo.
Can I get some odds on that?
Gambling's illegal, isn't it, in California?
I don't know.
I have to go to DraftKings, I guess.
Nothing's illegal in California anymore, especially LA County.
Anyhow, my small little rant thing is the veterans. Every time we talk to a veteran, we always say, thank you for your service. We're always, we're always very positive with veterans. And Veterans Day, or as it used to be called Armistice Day, November 11th, is a very special day. But yet for some reason, because we have a city holiday on the 10th, we'll celebrate on the 10th. Why can't we celebrate on the 11th? That's the day it should be celebrated. We're telling all these veterans, hey, thanks for your service, but you know what? We don't have the time on the weekend to do this for you. We don't want to pay our staff overtime. To me, I'm sorry. Veterans Day, it's like saying, okay, Christmas is on the weekend, so we're going to celebrate Christmas on Friday instead. I just, some holidays I get it, okay? Maybe on President's Day or certain holidays, but days like Memorial Day, Veterans Day, the 4th of July, somehow we celebrate the 4th of July on the 4th every year. We don't celebrate that on Friday. So why is Veterans Day not on the 11th, the day it should be on, to tell these veterans, right, we do thank you, we do appreciate you?
That's a good point. But your argument is that because the federal holiday is being observed on Friday,
which is fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But our ceremony should be on the 11th,
the actual day.
Yeah,
especially
give the employees their 3 days off. I get it. They want a 3-day weekend, and some people don't celebrate veterans. I respect that. I mean, everybody can do their own thing. They want to go Lake Havasu, have a nice trip, but we're celebrating our veterans, and for them, we need to have that ceremony on Veterans Day,
on their day,
not on just a day it's convenient for our city and to save money. If we're saving money on that, then we're saving money on the wrong thing. I
mean, not knocking that there's a ceremony, that we're appreciating them at all.
We love it all.
Your point is have it on the actual day.
Have it on the day. Have it on the day. Tell those veterans we do appreciate them. And
I would love for us to get out of this 3-day weekend, holiday weekend thing. I don't know when that started, but it's just a reason for entire generations to forget what that day is about. All they know is, it's a 3-day weekend. I have a long weekend. Let's get the barbecue going.
But you look at Memorial Day, and Memorial Day is always on a Monday. It's not on a specific day of the week because it wasn't an event in May that we actually would say. But Veterans Day is a day based on the armistice.
A date on the calendar?
Yeah, it's the 11th, November 11/11. And we should be celebrating on that. We should have our ceremony. I shouldn't say celebrate. We should have our ceremony on that day.
Well, we do celebrate.
We're celebrating our veterans.
We're honoring our veterans.
We're honoring them. Yeah, that whole weekend. I say great, but let's have the ceremony itself, the day that they actually show up, and we say thank you on the day it's supposed to be.
We'll send them the production note for next year.
There you go.
Yeah,
have it on the day.
Next year will be on Sunday, and they'll say, "Hey, are you kidding us? We don't do anything on a Sunday."
It's time, and that's double time.
Okay, moving on. And by the way, veterans, thank you very much. thank everyone. We're
100%.
able to do this podcast. We're able to say what we want to say and do what we want to do because you gave us that right. A lot of you laid down your lives, and a lot of you sacrificed.
We're using the freedom of speech right now.
All because of our veterans. Yep. So
thank you.
For 1 second, don't let me think that I'm not appreciative of everything they do.
You know, from our guys that served overseas, our guys that are currently serving, you know, we have people, we might be going to war. It's sad to think about
Certainly trying to.
You know, and our guys that are enlisted right now,
you know,
thank you.
Yeah, our worlds have been a mess for years, and you got to have them.
Yep.
Got to have a strong military.
Thank you for doing what you do and doing what you've done.
So this weekend, of course, Veterans Day is actually on Saturday, so we will honor our veterans personally on that day. That leaves us. That leaves us with only one thing left. And the reason you've listened to the show now for close to an hour and 15 minutes. And that is Ross's rant.
I think we need the Jaws theme for this.
Might be copyrighted. Might be copyrighted. John Williams.
Not if I do it.
John Williams may not like that.
I don't know. I happen to know John Williams.
He's busy scoring Indiana Jones 12 or something.
Absolutely.
He's made his money.
So,
all right, Ross.
Ross, it's time for Ross's rant.
All right,
Ross,
you have the floor.
I got a couple of them, but I'll make them real quick because we're into here a long time. You know, we've talked about the Columbia Ranch being ripped down or torn down to make way for new stages. We see Pickwick getting, you know, demolished for new condos. It's nice to see that the property owners of the ranch, Jeff Worth Company, the Pickwick, has given the Burbank Fire Department rights to go in and do some training. You think about it. Our firemen at 3 a.m. wake up to respond to a fire, and they go up on a roof and have to cut a hole. So they got to practice at the ranch, and I saw some aerial pictures. I think every roof was torn up. They also got to go in there and cut doors, break windows, because they were going to demolish it. I think, and I applaud these companies to give the fire department
great practical hands-on training.
Yeah.
Real-world training.
And I'll tell you, the Pickwick, talking to a couple of the firemen that got to go in there, that building was 50, 60 years old.
It's different construction.
Totally different.
And asbestos probably.
Well, that and everything else. I mean, but they cut the roof.
Yeah.
They laid lines. What they do is hook to the hydrants. They did some real drilling.
Well, what's the one thing they can't do anymore because of our beautiful AQMD? What can't they do anymore?
They can't burn these buildings down.
Yeah, they can't light little fires to practice.
God forbid.
Yeah, because it might pollute the air.
Wouldn't want the smoke to get in the way of the smog.
So as there's a term that they use in the fire department, I don't know, law enforcement probably did it too. You drill as if your life depends on it, because it does.
Train as you live as you train.
Yep. And I applaud these companies. You know, I know there was a ton of bad stuff people talking about, but I applaud them for giving them the rights to go in there and so forth. My other one was a small rant. I drive around this town quite a bit, and I have gone by 2 cars, one that apparently got abandoned off the freeway at I guess it used to be the Scott Road off-ramp. Now it's called the San Fernando Road off-ramp. It's actually where, between the freeway and Grismer, there's been a white car parked there now for 2.5 weeks, totally abandoned. You could tell it's the windows are all open. The car is dirty. It probably got pushed off the freeway. Then I drive down Victory Boulevard at Cypress. There's a motorcycle illegally parked in the lane of traffic, or in the parking lane. I thought motorcycles, you had to have a tire against the curb, but it's not. And it's been there for weeks. Weeks abandoned. Why aren't they picking this stuff up?
All right, Laz parking, I think that's a challenge. You've been offered a challenge to go mark these things for 72 hours and get them off the road.
Thank you very much.
I think that's a call to action.
That's it. Well, Ross's rant is always...
We got out of that one unscathed.
Yeah.
It wasn't about either of us.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Great.
Holy cow.
It was a good week.
Well, because I think of our great waitress, Heather. I think, we look up, we have a countdown timer up here, a count up timer,
And it's running out of digits.
Yeah, I know we went a little long tonight, but you know what? We talked about it. We got new things. We gave the new word of the week, which is
robot.
Robot.
You email us, and I bet you by the time we go in and look at this show, somebody's going to...
And somebody's asked me, how do we actually pick, if 10 people, 20 people send the word, how do we pick which one? I take the emails in order that they come in. So let's say we get 23 emails.
All timestamp.
And they're all, so I know which one comes in first, and I assign them a number 1 through 23. And then I go, Alexa, you pick a number between 1 and 23. And whatever Alexa comes up with, they're the winner. So that's how we select. We don't, it's not who our friend is, not who anything's pre-selected. You know, it's we let the computer decide.
And we apologize to anyone that's listening to this podcast on speakers because everybody's device in all their homes just came up with a number.
Well, it's funny. I was looking around because I actually have over 94 automated things in this house, and I have Alexa on 6 of them in our studio.
Stop saying the word.
The A word. We actually in our studio here we have what we call computer. So say hi, computer.
Can you have computer blink the lights or something?
Yes, I can.
For our viewers.
Computer, turn off studio.
Oh, geez. Now we've done it. Okay.
Computer.
That sounds like
on studio.
Sounds like a good time to end the show right there.
Oh, now it's going to talk to us. Well, that's
All
it.
Right, roll credits.
We're in the dark.
Roll credits.
That's it.
Now you've done it.
We'll talk to you next week. Thank you once again, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you later, alligator.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Game Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street.